Shamai, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Okay, this is a quick guide to Moodle. I'm going to show you a module that's one of mine. These are pretty typical. They might be slightly different across different modules. The module leader will go through with you at the start, so don't worry. But this just gives you a bit of an overview to see what you sort of expect. Okay, so if you're looking for something, there's a search bar at the bottom. You can either do it by the name of the module. So my module is called Areas of Learning and Experience Part 1. Areas Experience 1 Part 2. But you can also search it by the module code. So for that it's PES 4004. Okay, you'll be met with these different search results. You won't have access, you won't see all of these. What you'll be able to see, obviously it's 2021, is that there's an English version and then there's a meta version, and you can tell it's the meta because it's got an M. M is what we're using. So if you click on the M version, that's where everything's going to be kept. So Moodle is a brilliant repository. They call it a VLE, so a virtual learning environment. Really useful place where everything is kept for that module. So anything you need for that module is going to be on that Moodle. So when you're met, you can see straight away you've got the course code, you know it's that module. Now, pretty much all modules, they might be slightly differently laid out, are going to look like this. So you've got your latest news, you've got a reading list, you've got module essentials, lectures, seminars, reading and resources, a Welsh section, assessment and feedback, and retrievals. What is different with this module is a placement. Not all modules will have a placement, but this one has. So I'll go into a little bit of detail. In the latest news, this is where module leaders and lecturers will share any news. So if there is a change to any sessions, if there's anything you need to bring, if, for example, you were going outside and there was a change to weather, in the latest news, that is where the module leader will get in touch with you. That will appear in your email. So really, really important you keep in touch with your emails. I definitely suggest you keep your university emails on your phone. So if you do that, you can keep up to date with any changes to sessions. It doesn't happen much, but there will be quite a lot through this. And if you miss anything, if you go to latest news, it will all appear here. Okay, so that was in latest news. Next thing we're going to look at is the module reading list. So we use a system called Leganto. So you have access there. You can see you've got required reading. So for this course, there are these books which you are required to read to help you with the assessment. And then there's recommended reading as well. Obviously, and we'll talk about this in much more detail in the assessments, in the lectures. Obviously, the wider you can read, the better you can support and use academic sources to support your work. That's going to strengthen your arguments. So that's just a quick overview of the reading list. So everything, if you're looking and you're struggling to find text, brilliant way to start is this module reading list. In module essentials, this tends to be an area that a lot of students skip over. But really important that you look at it. Obviously, it's got whoever's teaching on there, it's got their contact details. It's got the university handbook, which is really helpful, especially when it sets up rules, regulations, guidelines, procedures. We've put in here assessment band descriptors, so you can see level 4 is year 1, year 2, year 3. They set out what your work, what expectations your work should be meeting at level 4, level 5, level 6. So definitely have a look at those if you're completing any assessments. The module handbook, that is really important. In there, it's got the aims of the module, you've got teaching and learning sessions, the module assessment, and then you've got the content and schedule, which will be all laid out so you can see. You could even look at that now and you can see what's coming up over the next few weeks for this module. Okay, coming on to the next really important tab, which is lectures. So 4 lectures, they're all going to be kept in one place. For this year, obviously with post-COVID, it's not a great idea to have a great amount of people in one place. Traditionally, we used to have our lectures in one place, in a lecture theatre. Now we're having them as a recorded session. Most recorded lectures will be released to you by the lecturer. It may follow different formats. I'm just giving you an overview of what you could expect. This is obviously for my module. So I've laid it out in week 1, week 2, week 3 and week 4. And you can see here you've got the recording, and I also include the presentation file because there's usually some links. There might be some reading, there might be some journal articles so in there you click on the recorded session, it'll take you straight to the recorded session. Who's this handsome chap? Borada, hello all, welcome to your final. Okay, so you can see the lecture is on the left hand side. You've got this idiot here who's the lecturer who will be talking you through, and really helpful. It's been, I don't know how they do this with my accent, but it's got there. So if you've gone through, I find it's really useful that if you've just watched a lecture and you want to go back over anything, you've taken some notes, this is really, really useful on the captions there. There may be discussions, there may be details. Sometimes I'll launch a quiz, sometimes that I will launch different things, get you to do some reading. That will be in the details part there. Okay, so that is the lectures. The next part we're going to look at is seminars. So obviously the seminars are held on campus. So within the seminars, some tutors will release the seminar presentations before the seminar. So they might ask you to watch a video, they might ask you to engage with some of the materials before the seminar, or they might want you to just turn up. So again, it's laid out in week 1, week 2, week 3. So if you're turning up, if you're in week 1, you know that week 1, the first seminar is going to be this, you click on that, and then you can follow that as your seminar is taking place. A seminar tends to be smaller than a lecture in terms of numbers, it's situated in a classroom, and you'll tend to discuss some of the main ideas and theory from the lecture. So that's all in the seminars tab. It's all pretty straightforward, as you can see. Okay. Just waiting for this load. One thing you will learn, Moodle can be quite slow. It's trying to pull through loads of different files. There's usually a lot of people on there at the same time. Okay, so we've gone through lectures, seminars. We won't worry too much about the placement, that's just a different tab for this module. Reading and resources, really helpful, and a lot of students don't always utilise this. As lecturers, we can see exactly, this is where you all gasp and say, oh really? We can see exactly what you've been on in Moodle or what you haven't been. So if you haven't been active at all, usually we'll get in touch and ask to say what is going on. So in reading and resources, this is an area which we spend a lot of time finding relevant resources, reading, links, videos to help with the assessment or to help your understanding of some of the theory. So really important you engage with this. Loads of my personal tutor group always will say, I can't find any readings to help with this assessment. I will always direct them to the reading and resources page on Moodle first. Some modules won't have this, and that's absolutely fine, and probably the reading and resources are actually in the lectures or they're going to be discussed in the seminars. Not all modules will have this. Mine in this example does. Okay, going finally on to the assessment page then. So with all assessments, you're going to have to submit to Moodle, and the system we use is called Turnitin. So Turnitin, if you ever hear of Turnitin, it's this magical system which, as I'll show you now, so if you go into assessment, it's a portal. So for example, if you were handing in an essay or you're handing in a blog in this case, there is a portal which you will need to upload to. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the portal here. Okay, so you will upload to the portal and that will check to see if you've copied anyone else, if you've done that correctly, if you've uploaded something that someone else has updated from last year. Hopefully you're going to do none of those things. But it's a really clever system to check there's no plagiarism taking place. Really important that you upload on time. You'll have a deadline for each of your assessments. Really, really important that you upload. Give yourself time, because one of the university rules and regulations is that we cannot allow for any ICT failure. So you can guarantee if you've got 5 minutes to go, your computer's probably going to crash in that time. Just the law of working with technology. Give yourself, if you've got a hand in at 2:30 on a Friday, give yourself maybe hand it in the morning just in case anything goes wrong. Really, really important. Some modules like mine will have a pro forma document. So with a pro forma document, it's almost like a template. You'll need to fill that out in detail. There's usually a bit of a self-assessment at the end, which will ask you to think about and reflect on your strengths and weaknesses. Really important you do that. Some assessments you get marks for that, and some students just leave that blank and they miss 5 or 10 marks. We're trying to get you into the process of being reflective. A lot of you want to be teachers. Being reflective is a really important quality if you're going to go into teaching and education. So look out for if there's a pro forma document. Again, all modules, I'm sure, will have expectations of the assessment, and they will go through in detail, usually in a recorded lecture, exactly what the expectations are, and they'll also provide a marking criteria. Use this, tattoo this on your leg, get this up on your wall. This should be your holy Bible, whatever. This should be something that you engage with throughout your assessment. We are telling you exactly what you're getting marks for here, so you can see. So, if you're not turning up, for example, you're not going to get 10 marks. If you're not responding to the project brief here, you're not going to get 10 marks. So make sure that you are using this throughout when you're making your assessments. Okay, just to point a few more things out, because some students get confused, and that's absolutely fine. There is the Retrievals page. So the Retrievals hopefully is nothing you need to worry about. The Retrievals is if you fail any assessments, hopefully none of you are going to do that, then there's an opportunity for you to reset or retrieve that assessment in the summer. Hopefully you want to have a summer, you don't want to be doing that. This is where you will retrieve. You have 3 attempts at any one assessment. It'll be the same assessment, but again, hopefully you don't want to be doing that in the summer. This is the portal that you use. Okay, that is a brief overview of Moodle. If you have any more questions, definitely speak to your module leader, because all modules will be slightly different, and I'm sure they can talk about it in more detail. They'll probably show you in seminars. Alternatively, when you've got your personal tutor meeting, just ask. The best thing I find is just you go and have a bit of a navigate around the system yourself. Have a look at Moodle in your own time. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to use. Have a good day.